Hi everyone, I'm Paige Abbott with Health Upwardly Mobile, and this week I wanted to talk about part 3 of my boundaries series. This week I wanted to talk about communicating your boundaries. This may seem straightforward, but actually this is the part in boundary setting where I find that a lot of people start to get lost. A lot of people believe that communication of their boundaries is the essential component of boundary setting. So I hear it so often, people saying, I set my boundary, I established my boundary because I told the other person what I needed or what I was looking for. So for instance, don't treat me that way, that's unacceptable, don't shout at me, those sorts of things. It's important to recognize that if we're doing that, that's actually not a boundary. We're controlling the other person, and really what we're doing is we're giving the power for our boundary over to them, which is not what boundary setting is all about at all. Boundary setting is about empowerment of the individual. So how do we pull this idea of communication back so that we do stay on track with that empowering boundary? Well, one thing that we have to keep in mind is that communication and verbalization of the boundary is actually an optional part of the process. It's not necessary that you let another person know how you want to be treated. So let's go through an example. For instance, if you are uncomfortable with the way that somebody is talking to you or treating you, it is an option to speak up to them and say, it's unacceptable when you talk down to me, when you disrespect me. I'm not okay with that. That is actually not the boundary part of the conversation though. That's a request. You're hoping that by putting that out there, the person will be amenable to acting differently and communicating differently with you. However, that is not within our control. So whether they change or not is up to them. The boundary part of this would be the next piece, that if I verbalize that I'm not okay with that treatment, the other person is going to do what they're going to do, then it's up to me what I do to fulfill and honor my boundary. So if I'm not okay with that treatment and I continue to be treated disrespectfully, then it's up to me to follow through on my boundary. And maybe that means I disconnect from the conversation. Maybe I actually leave the interaction with that person. Maybe I try and change topics. I am the one who is fully responsible for following through on implementing and reinforcing my boundary. The communication part is an optional request for that person, but being mindful, even if they're not prepared to change, then we have to be prepared to do something different. The communication part is actually a very minimal part of boundary setting. It can be good to practice speaking up and being assertive, but just be careful that you're not looking to control somebody else's behavior and that you're not looking to them to enforce your boundary. Boundaries are inherently set for you, by you. You are the one who is responsible for creating them and for implementing them. So the communication part, again, is an optional practice part of the process, but try not to get caught up in thinking, in speaking up and asking someone else for what you need, that now it's up to them to provide that. No, boundary setting is still about you providing that for yourself. I hope that that makes sense. I hope that you're with me as we continue to go through this section on boundaries. It's tough work, and I congratulate all of you for your openness and your willingness to sink your teeth into it and to really look at doing things differently in relationships. I wish you all the best in your ongoing journey of health and recovery. Bye for now.